Now, the Duval Rundown, driven by Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside, home of the lifetime warranty.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Duval Rundown. I'm Hayes Carline. Please be joined with Frank Frangie, voice of the Jaguars and host of the Frangie Show. Frank, a disappointing effort. I don't think it's the end of the world that they lost to the Seahawks, but lots to unravel here. A 20-12 loss. What was your biggest concern coming out of the game yesterday?
Yeah, I think my biggest assessment of it, more than concern, I probably don't know if I'd go concern yet, but my assessment of it is, listen, we've had this talk 1,000 times. The more physical team usually wins the game. And I think for the first 5 games of the year, the Jaguars have been the more physical team. Even when they lost the game in Cincinnati, I thought they were the more physical team. They dominated the game. They controlled the game, and somehow it got away from them. The Seahawks were clearly the more physical team yesterday. They were the more physical team in both trenches. Trevor Lawrence rarely had a clean pocket. They rarely affected. Now, they blitzed a little bit later on, affected Sam Darnold. But the bottom line is the Seahawks won the battle in the trenches. And when you win the battle in the trenches, you usually win the game. Now, there's a lot of other things, Hayes, to unwrap about the ballgame, right? But, I mean, first and foremost, big picture for me, when you get pushed around, you generally lose a football game. I think that's been a hallmark of the Jags this year, is being the more physical team. And I thought Seattle was clearly the more physical team yesterday.
Yeah, without a doubt. We talked about how talented their defensive front is, and you were hoping that they could take advantage of a depleted Seahawks secondary, but Trevor rarely had time. He could have probably been a little bit more decisive, particularly when he realized once I'm sure he realized early on that they weren't going to be able to block Seattle. But having said that, the offensive line just got manhandled. Now, they didn't have Robert Hainsey, who has become their leader in that unit, and they didn't have Brenton Strange, who's a very physical tight end. But nonetheless, very disappointing that I think they had opportunities to take advantage of the secondary if Trevor had gotten time. But your quarterback can't get sacked 7 times and basically rushed on every throw that he makes. I mean, at the end of the day, Trevor's numbers weren't bad, considering the constant duress that he was under. I mean, he threw for 258, 2 touchdowns, no picks, passer rating of 97.1. Pretty good statistical effort considering the complete lack of time. But I was really surprised that the Jaguars were never able to do anything to either, adapt to it, speed things up, or just, add more guys in the protection plan, because it was a mismatch from really the first time Trevor dropped back to the last time he dropped back.
One thing I've learned about all these years in the NFL, Hayes, we've covered this team forever. I've called these games for 12 years now. One thing I've learned is never to be surprised, because you never know. And I'm not making excuses for them, but I'm trying to assess it. They played an emotional game on Monday night. And I don't think there was a lack of effort. I don't think there's a lack of preparation. But your body will only respond intensely so many times. Here comes this big physical team in here, and sometimes you're not as physical. One big thing about the NFL, and there's some other things to unwrap about that game specifically, but big picture, it's a 17-game schedule. You're going to get upset. The Bills got upset at home by the New England Patriots. It's going to happen.
This wasn't even an upset, really.
Well, that's right. But I mean, but you're going to lose games. You're going to lose games that you thought you might have won, right? But the point to it is you can't stack them. The league's all about what you do over a stretch. That's what the whole NFL is about. It's not about did you lose a week. It's did that mean then did you lose the next week, and then did you lose the next week, or did you win? The Jags have stacked some wins. They got to keep doing that. I know I said with this 4-game stretch, I'd take 2-2. Well, they started 2-0, so you didn't feel that way. So I think, but the key important thing is make sure that's not who they are. I'd like to believe the team they are is that team that was the more physical team for 5 games, not the team that was not nearly as physical this game. So that's the big picture. As for the specifics of it, I didn't get the sense that Hainsey out and Jonah Monheim in was the whole key to this thing. It mattered. Believe me, it mattered. Or Hainsey wouldn't be your starter, and he's been very good. But I didn't get the impression that everybody else was blocking well and that Jonah Monheim wasn't. I think that,
and I'm not trying to suggest that. I mean, I didn't know. I've noticed Walker. I've noticed the tackles as a problem more than anything else. Yeah. But Hainsey is their unquestioned leader, and that's why it does make me wonder if his absence was a factor in this.
Well, it had to factor some, right? He wouldn't be the starter if it didn't factor some. But I think you're right. The tackle struggle. And listen, you got beat. Sometimes in a boxing match, you go into the ring and the other guy hits you harder than you hit him. So, again, it can't be a pattern. The other thing that's bothering me, the one that maybe even I'm not as bothered by the physicality because I think they've proven that that's what they are. I think they'll be a physical football team. I think the other thing that bothered me is the little mistakes have to stop. Anton Harrison's got to line up on the line of scrimmage. That you can control. If a guy's more physical than you that day, and you're trying your hardest to be physical, Hayes, you might just going to lose that one that day, right? Sometimes it's the real world. The other guy's practicing too, but there's no excuse for. I mean, I know Travis Hunter's a rookie, I get it, but if his foot is 6 inches back, then there's a touchdown that changes the game. It was a little bit of a fluke touchdown, but it's a touchdown that changes the game on the tipped ball. Instead, it doesn't happen. Each time Anton Harrison wasn't on the line, the Jags had a big play called back or a successful play called back. That's the stuff that's got to stop. There's been too much of that. Now, are the officials picking on the Jags? Are they calling it too tight? I don't know that. I'm not smart enough to know that. But I know it keeps happening. In a game like that, when the other guy's more physical and the other guy's beating you up a little bit, you can't keep doing that stuff. That more than anything else bothered me. Again, the Seahawks were the more physical team, but that's going to happen sometimes, right? You play 17 games, but the not lining up on the line of scrimmage and your wide receiver, and I love Travis Hunter. He's going to be fantastic, but and to his credit, he owned it. He said, hey, that's on me. I thought the guy told me I was okay. I guess he didn't tell me that. But those are the things they have to clean up. There's been way too much of that, I think, Hayes.
Yeah, the penalties, again, a problem, 10 for 78. And you mentioned the Hunter penalty that negated a touchdown, and Anton Harrison. Yeah, I mean, in Liam Cohen, I thought he was great in his post-game availability with reporters. I mean, he basically was like, we're an undisciplined operation right now, and that starts with me to get it fixed. And then the Jaguars Digital puts out his speech to the team, after, and that was a big focus of it is, guys, we're playing hard, the effort's there, but until we stop beating ourselves, it's going to be a challenge. And yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see if they can start to improve in that, because you're getting kind of deep in the year now for it to be a consistent problem. I was surprised they couldn't run the ball at all. Seattle entered the game, top 5 in run defense, but the Jaguars were top 5 in run offense. So you thought there'd be a little bit of a give and take there. But ETN, 12 carries, 27 yards. I mean, they tried to stick with it, but nothing ever emerged there. What were your thoughts on the lack of a ground game?
Yeah, I thought both defenses had a pretty good plan, both the Jags defense and the Seattle defense. Everybody stacked the line. The Jags weren't going to let Kenneth Walker run crazy. He came in averaging 5 yards a pop, and the Seahawks weren't going to let Travis Etienne run crazy, and you could see that. But more than that, to your point, and you're right, can you come up, can you diagram some things? More than that, again, without beating a dead horse, they were the more physical team. And you're not going to run much if the other guy's the more physical team. I thought that more than anything else. Back to what you said about the digital team put out the Liam's postgame. I thought the postgame was really good, at least what we saw of it. That was the whole thing, He's you got to be careful, don't get caught up in one game. The last thing they needed is a guy running around screaming and ranting and raving because of how badly they played one game when they're a 4-2 football team. So I thought he did a good job of, without using the words, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But yeah, I'll go back to it. I'll say it again. I wasn't as concerned that they got beat up physically because it's going to happen over a 17-game season. And it's going to happen after a Monday night where it's so physical and so emotional and so passionate and everyone's telling you how good you are. And I mean, they're human beings, man. All of a sudden you got to get up 6 days later and play another game. So that's going to happen some. I hope it. Now, if it keeps happening, Hayes, it's a problem. But I'm not going to – got to be careful that you don't see one game and say, okay, that's who they are. So I don't think that. But – the penalties are a trend now. That's not a one-game thing. I mean, I'm looking, I'm calling the game, and I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding me. They've got to quit doing that, and they know that. No one's trying. Anton Harrison's not trying to line up in the backfield. Travis Hunter's not trying to have a 6 inches over the line. No one's trying to mess that up. But that's something that concerned me the most, that stuff keeps happening. Here's one other thing about that too, Hayes. Officials are human beings too. Well, if a team gets a reputation for doing X wrong, without trying to, you kind of look for it. You know what I mean? I think Juwan Taylor, the right tackle for the Chiefs, the former Jag, he lines up off the line and starts early too many times. Well, now they're looking for that, right? So he's going to get called for it more because that's his reputation. The Jags have to. I think the Jags have a reputation not being set. So I think the officials are looking for, are they not set? And that's the thing I think they've got to clean up the most. Trevor played okay. He wasn't great. He's okay. Given the fact that he had no time, I thought he was pretty dang good yesterday. I really did. The story of the game was they got beat up physically and they made too many mistakes, I think.
The Brian Thomas Jr. drops pop back up. Overall, his stat line was pretty good. He was targeted 10 times, caught 8 of them for 90 yards and a touchdown. And as you mentioned, a Travis Hunter, false start or whatever illegal formation, whatever they called on it, offside, negated a 54-yard touchdown that he would have had. But a couple of concerning plays. You saw once again I'm going to go over the middle. I'm going to put up one hand instead of attacking the ball. And then obviously he had the 3rd and 5 just killer drop. In the fourth quarter when you're trying to, it's a 1-score game and you're trying to go tie the game up, and he drops a fairly routine ball. What's your level of frustration or what's your evaluation of Brian Thomas Jr.'s performance yesterday?
You hit it. He's a really good player. He's fast. He's electric. He changes directions. He's athletic. He can run by people. He can go up and get balls. But both those plays were bad misses. The one where he looked like he shied away from the contact, he can't do that, but that was a bad throw. That ball was way high. I don't think he was going to catch it. He might have caught it, and it looked like he didn't want the contact at one point. We all saw it, and we noticed it because it's happened before. The other one was the killer. It would have kept a drive alive. It was high, but you got to catch that one. And so, I think he's got to get through it again. Brian, in my mind, is playing more good than bad, but I agree with you. The drop on the long crosser, those are the only two. To your point, he was targeted 10 times, caught 8. Those are the 2 he didn't. That's a killer. And again, there's not a lot of plays in an NFL game. You and I've had this talk, Hayes. Every NFL game comes down to the end of the, doesn't it now? Every NFL game is a 1-possession game, and somebody makes one more play at the end of the game. It's astounding around the league. And maybe I'm having recency bias, but doesn't it seem like every dang game now is coming down to one play at the end of the game, and whoever makes a play in the last 3 minutes wins the game? Well, if that's where the league is gone, and it is, it's always been that way to a point, but it's really gone that way now, he can't drop that pass. And I think that, but I think, listen, everybody was off the mark a little bit yesterday. It was one of those games where the other guy played better than you. And I'll say this, if you have a game where your kicker's missing kicks, he missed 2 now. He missed an extra point. And I know the 53-yarder is a long kick, but that's not a long kick for him.
What's your level of concern with Cam Little?
Well, I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'll say I think it's too early to say I'm panicked, but I think it's disingenuous to say I'm convinced he's going to make his next 15 in a row, right? So I think you have to. I think that's something they're going to watch closely, and to that end, that makes it harder on him because he knows everybody's watching. He was the belle of the dance, man, for most of his time here. Now there's been a few misses. He missed. I think he missed twice all last year, Hayes. All last year, I think he missed, and he's never missed an extra point. He was 40 for 40 on PATs before missing that one. I think somebody said, it might have been Jeff in our broadcast. Somebody said that he was missing right a lot in warm-ups. So maybe he overcompensated, missed left on the extra point, then went and missed right on the field goal. So who knows exactly what happened? But I do get the feeling that, I think that what happens once that stuff starts happening is he's going to get tighter because he knows everybody's watching. I make the golf analogies all the time. That's all I know is golf, Hayes. That's all I got, okay? So I make the golf analogies a lot. If you miss a 4-foot putt, then it's harder to make the next 4-foot putt because you're thinking about the 4-foot putt you just missed. And then if you miss another one, now you're gripping it a little tighter, right? Now you're standing over it a little longer. And I think that happens in the real world, not just in golf, that if you miss one, now you're thinking about the next one. So level of concern, I don't know if I'm concerned yet, but I'd be disingenuous if I didn't say we're going to watch it, right? Before, I didn't pay attention. When Cam Little had a 41-yard field goal, I'm getting ready to do the drive. We do a drive recap on the broadcast, right? I'm getting ready to do there's no chance he's going to miss it. I'm getting ready to do the drive recap, throw to break, get the whole thing, everything we do on our broadcast. Well, now I'm watching it a little closer to see if he makes the 41-yarder. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think paying attention is where I am on Cam Little and wondering where it's going to go. Still confident he's a good kicker. Right? He's proven he's a good kicker, but he's got to kind of shake his way out of that funk.
Jacob Simons is our technical wizard on Duval Rundown. We appreciate his contributions. And Jacob, let's say hello to our sponsor, please.
I'm Rick Ballou, Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside, proud partner of the Jaguars. Drive with confidence. Every new vehicle comes with our exclusive lifetime warranty. 7030 Commonwealth Avenue or online at jackswest.com.
Frank, let's switch it over and talk about the defense. Lots of good. I mean, they held Seattle to 1 of 12 on third down. Third down had been an issue for the Jaguar defense. They were 30th in the league entering week 6. So that's really encouraging. I thought overall it was one of those games where it really was close to a perfect game, except, well, you allowed 2 61-yard plays. And both were great throws by Darnold. And Darnold also had a beautiful touchdown throw to Cooper Kupp where there wasn't a whole lot Jordan Lewis could do about that in coverage. So even though it's a loss, they gave up 20 points. I thought defensively there were some good things that we saw, just couldn't make those 2 or 3 plays to make it a spectacular defensive effort.
Yeah, 2 things. Number one, it was the 2 explosives were the killers. The long one to Smith and Jigba for the touchdown, and then the long one to A.J. Barner at the end of the game that kind of sealed the game. Those were the 2 killers, and you're going to have breakdowns. I thought the defense was good. Like you said, 1 out of 12 on third downs in an NFL game, those are winning numbers. Your defense should win. The offense has to help them a lot. But if you're getting 3 or 4 straight 3-and-outs, which the defense did, your offense has to take advantage of that. That whole complementary football thing people talk about, well, you got to play it. If your defense is getting you the ball back, your offense has to go drive. Your offense has to hold the ball for a while. And I thought the defense, given that, and I felt bad for Greg Newsome. He comes in the game. He just got off the plane, man. He got off the plane on Thursday afternoon. He practices one day. He's not ready to play in their scheme. Everybody knew that. He'd just been to London. He just got back. He goes in there one play, and I'll give Clint Kubiak credit. He went right at him. He said, okay, this guy's coming in one play. He's got to have weary legs. He's been all over the place. He just got here. He's got to be a little bit tentative. We're going to go right at him. And he went right at him. So I felt kind of bad for him on that play. But no, I thought the defense overall played pretty well. They stuffed a really good running back. I didn't think Darnold picked them apart by any stretch. Again, when you hold someone to 1 out of 12 on third down, you've kind of done your job. They didn't lose because of the defense yesterday. There were some explosives. They lost the game because the offense couldn't do anything and because they got out physical for sure.
In terms of looking at big picture now, obviously they head to London to play the LA Rams. That'll be fascinating with all the storylines involved with that. I mean, again, we've talked at length about it. The Jaguars have sort of built this new, version of Jaguars football around the influence of the LA Rams, with Liam Cohen and James Gladstone obviously having strong ties to that organization. So really should be a fantastic matchup. And the Jaguars they're 4-2. They're the 5th seed right now in the AFC. They're in great shape. The Colts are 5-1. They have the best record in the AFC, but they've also played an incredibly soft schedule. And they're what the Jaguars are going through now awaits the Colts. And what the Colts have been able to sort of breeze through, that still awaits the Jaguars. So Jacksonville is in great shape in terms of the big picture here. And again, even if they don't catch the Colts, they're the top wild card right now. So they're in great shape. But as you look at this week, it's really interesting. The Jags travel versus the Rams travel. What kind of catches your eye the most about all the intangibles heading into the game at Wembley on Sunday?
You just did a good job of kind of capturing all the storyline. Let's start with where they are. And you said it. And you know me, Hayes, I don't look at standings this early. I'm going to look at the standings 8 or 10 weeks into the season. Right now, just play the game. But to your point about the Colts, no disrespect to the Colts, give Shane Steichen credit. He found his quarterback. They're playing really well, and they're blowing teams out. So the Colts are good. The Colts are legit. That's not a fluke. They're legit. But they have played a soft schedule, and the Jags have played a way harder schedule, and that's going to flip. I was thinking the same thing before you said it. Looking at it last night. Well, let's see what they're both their records are. 10 games in, not 5 games in, right, or 6 games in. So I agree with that part. So I'm not real caught up in where they are. Just keep playing the next game. I think it's important to that end. No matter what happens against in this game, it's been a grind. It was a hard camp. It was a tough schedule to start the season. I mean, already you've already played the Chiefs, and you've already played Seattle's good. Pittsburgh's got 1 loss, and it's to Seattle. The Seahawks are good now. They're a 4-2 team that barely lost a couple games. So
they're going to be in the tournament.
Yeah, no question. So
unless they just get ravaged.
So you've played a tough schedule. This is the 7th straight game. Don't get too caught up. If the Jags lose a close one to the Rams, people can't be jumping off bridges. You got the off week, you catch your breath a little bit, and then you got a schedule that at least on paper looks way softer. So I think it's important not to get too caught up in what happens either way on this game. Having said that, yeah, they're good. The Rams are pretty good. And the contrast in what they're doing is amazing. The Jags are leaving today. The Jags are flying out. And to get there to Monday night, to arrive Tuesday morning, staying at the Grove, practicing from Tuesday through Saturday, getting adjusted to London time, getting adjusted to being over there. So it'll seem like a normal day to them, and then playing the game on Sunday and coming back. The Rams aren't leaving till Friday. Now, they're leaving out of Baltimore because that's where they just played. But they're not going across the pond until Friday. They're flying over there from Baltimore. It's about a 6-hour flight. They're going to get over there from Baltimore. They're not even going to change their clocks. They're not going to change their watches, right? They're just going to get there. They're going to play it like it's a 9:30 in the morning game because that's what it'll be on their watches, and then get on the plane and come home. I still think everybody's still trying to navigate the best way to do that. Even the Jags, who have been there 13 straight years, are still trying to figure out how to do it, Hayes. What's the best way to do it? I think the Jags' thinking is with the off week, they're going to go early because they can change their time. I think they would tell you if they had a game the next week, they might do something closer to what the Rams are doing and keep their watches from having to be changed, right? So it's really an interesting contrast in styles. And you're right. The storyline is the Jags are built like the Rams, and now they play the Rams. So there's all kind of storylines for this game. I'm looking forward to it. I think the Jags will play at a more physical level. Listen, nobody wants to think they got out physical, right? That's a mano-a-mano thing. That's a macho thing. They know they got pushed around in this game. Everybody knows it. They know it. It's on tape. Everyone's talking about it. I expect a far more physical team when they play the Rams at Wembley.
Great stuff. Well, Frank, we certainly appreciate you joining us every Monday on Duval Rundown, and we'll look forward. Obviously, next week you'll get a pass. No Frank next Monday, but we'll look forward to catching up with you a few weeks down the road after the London trip and the bye. But we'll be back on Duval Rundown on Wednesday with Florida Times Union sports columnist Ryan O'Halloran. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and go Jags.